So thanks everybody for taking time out of your morning to hear us talk a little bit about AI and Copilots, which I'm sure most of you have heard about over the last few months or been spammed by Microsoft or other technology partners out there. So today we're really going to try and put a frame of reference around how you can thrive in the era of AI and take advantage of the various Microsoft Copilot capabilities that are in market at the moment and that are coming through thick and fast. So we'll start with a bit of a set of introductions. My name's Jordan O'Halloran and I'm a sales director at Velrada. And I'll be sort of taking us through some introduction content on today's session before passing across to my esteemed colleagues, Jared and Matt. Jared, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good day, everyone, and good afternoon to everyone on the East Coast. Jared Eischen. I've been in the dynamic space for over 15 years. I'm excited to take you through the Copilot capabilities of customer service and field service.
G'day, folks. I'm Matt Pontel, and I lead our global practice for Power Platform and modern applications, and I will be showing you Copilot in action today. So it's not just all talk, there's some action too.
Excellent. So just as a bit of housekeeping, we're in one of these fancy webinar live events. So there are a bunch of Teams features in here that you may not have seen before. We will try and monitor both the Q&A and the chat. But if you would like to ask a question, feel free to post it into the Q&A. That would be my preference. We'll all be able to then collaborate on that in real time, and we'll be saving some time at the end for us to be able to try and work through any of the questions that are posted. Feel free to raise your hand and feel free to come off camera if you're able to do that and collaborate in the session. Just in the spirit of reconciliation, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of Australia and their connections to land, sea and community, and pay respects to the elders past, present and emerging. So we've got hopefully an action-packed agenda for you today. We're going to provide a bit of a frame of reference around Azure and Azure OpenAI and how those capabilities are available to Microsoft customers. We're going to introduce you to the Copilots that are available within the Microsoft Business Applications ecosystem and give you a point of view on how we see that being able to apply to the asset intensive industry. And so for us, when we talk about asset intensive industry, we're generally talking about construction, engineering, mining, oil and gas, asset management organizations. However, there may be a bunch of organizations out there that also deem themselves asset intensive because they look after large facilities, hospitals or educational campuses. And certainly the same Copilot capabilities can be of advantage to you. And we're going to get through those top 3 bullet points as quickly as we can so that we can save as much time for live demonstration. We've got a lot to show you. There are currently, if I'm correct, I believe there are 155 Microsoft Business Applications Copilot capabilities. We're not going to show you all of them today, but we are going to show you some of them in action and hopefully give you a bit of a flavor of what's there, what's coming, and how you can take advantage of it. And then we'll try and close the session out addressing any of the questions that you put in the chat and anything that comes up at the end, and give you a point of view on how you can get started within the era of Copilots with Microsoft Business Applications. So just as a bit of an introduction for anyone who's not met Velrada before, we are a Microsoft Gold partner. We specialize only in the delivery of Microsoft solutions. We span the end-to-end Microsoft Cloud Platform, but with a particular emphasis on business applications-led digital transformation. So we've got you covered, whether it's a Dynamics 365 first-party application for your ERP or your field services and work order management, right through to bespoke application development in Power Platform. And you're going to see all of that sort of coming together today. We're a little over 250 people, headquartered in Australia, but now with truly global operations. And we've been fortunate over the last 5 or 6 years to be recognized by Microsoft as a global leader within some of the spaces in which we operate, and have picked up several awards. So in the most recent award ceremonies, we were named the Australia and New Zealand Business Applications and Industry Partner of the Year, largely for the work that we've done within the asset intensive industry. At the same time, we were also runner-up for the global Dynamics 365 field service, customer service, and mixed reality capabilities, which is a bit of a claim to fame for a small Australian operation of only 250 odd people. So, like you, probably all of us on the call, there's a buzz in the market around AI at the moment. We're all seeing it, not just within the technology market, but within every conversation. My wife's a high school teacher, and she's addicted to using ChatGPT rather than Google search, which is cool because I can see the application for that in our operations. But that sort of I guess buzz around AI is exciting, but it leaves us with the question as to why now, and are we able to take advantage of some of these sort of claims around the profound impact that it's going to have on our operations and the way that we work. So to put a bit of a frame about why now and why we're sort of considering this the new era of AI, it really all is based on the evolution of these sort of large-scale foundation models. We've probably all seen them out there. We've heard the terminology around large language models. Companies like OpenAI have really taken a step change and leap forward in innovation with regards to what we can do with AI through these large-scale foundational models. And obviously, Microsoft's partnership with OpenAI is fairly unprecedented. And all of these capabilities, like ChatGPT and the other foundational models that are available within OpenAI, are now able to be leveraged within your Microsoft ecosystem. So just to provide some context to that, and I'm not a technical expert, so I won't be able to go into the depths of it, but fortunately I've got Jared and Matt here who can give you more context. What Microsoft have effectively done with the partnership and innovation around Azure OpenAI is made these large-scale foundational models available to customers within the confines of your Azure tenancy. So likely everybody on this call leverages Microsoft Azure for some form of security or identity management. And that foundation of your tenancy and your identity is the bedrock that Azure OpenAI and the Copilots that we're going to talk to you about are laid upon. And so there, when we've got the Copilot capabilities, they're then available through all of the Microsoft digital applications and capabilities and services that you've got. And you'll see some of that in action today. So when we talk about copilots, or when Microsoft talk about copilots, the discussion really is around referencing what they're calling the fourth revolution, industrial revolution, where AI and machine learning capabilities are going to transform how people and how human capital within organizations focus their time throughout the workday. When Microsoft's kind of point of view on leveraging AI is that these capabilities, as powerful as they are, will not replace humans, but augment what we do, amplifying the expertise and abilities and capabilities that we are able to provide to organizations. And I truly think that they've nailed the narrative around Copilot as I guess a brand. And you'll see how that's coming to fruition with some of the demonstrations that Jared and Matt will provide for you today, where hopefully we can apply these hugely powerful AI capabilities to our everyday processes to streamline where we're spending our time, reducing the burden of administration, and hopefully helping us to be better and more innovative. So I mentioned that I think that there's around 155 as of now Copilot capabilities, which is a phenomenal thing to say when rewind 6 months, and we weren't even talking about Copilot capabilities within the business applications ecosystem. And so that 155 is a point in time and will be continuing to be added upon by Microsoft. I've been in this industry for a little over a decade, and I'm truly blown away by the rate of innovation that we've got within the Microsoft Business Application Suite. And for anyone on the call that already prescribes to the Microsoft Business Applications capabilities, you probably noticed that things are changing so fast and in such prolific ways that it's hard to keep up. So hopefully we'll be able to keep up, and hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of some of these capabilities. So they've got you effectively these continuing to innovate Copilot features that are laced through all of the Microsoft business applications that you have access to. So every first-party Dynamics solution, whether it's stakeholder management, CRM, sales or marketing, field services and work order management, right through to your supply chain and ERP, or indeed through bespoke application and automation development in the Power Platform, we can leverage these large language model capabilities within that entire stack. And so again, you'll see some of this in action today, but the rate of change is phenomenal. So if you've got ideas around your platform and how you might be able to leverage some of these AI features and capabilities, and it's not in there now, it's not in the literature that Microsoft have got available, you can almost bet your bottom dollar that it's coming. So feel free to reach out to the Velrada team or your Microsoft reps and ask, because the roadmap is truly quite exciting. So with all of these Copilot features, the question that I think lots of us want to ask is, how do we apply this to our organization? How do we take advantage of this era of AI that we're talking about? And from our point of view, we see within the asset-intensive industry space, I guess, 5 core pillars for applying generative AI and the Copilot features from Microsoft. So these are asset performance, compounding knowledge, scaling innovation, optimizing the way that we operate, and improving decision making. Now, just to sort of lean into some of these pillars, from an asset performance point of view, you will see in some demonstration today how we can leverage these Copilot features, particularly within field service, to make more informed decisions around a first-time fix that we might be trying to perform based on the history that we've got with that particular asset or piece of equipment. Am I sending the right technician to fix it? Does that technician have the right tools in their kit bag to fix it? And all of these features are empowered with the use of the Copilot features in field services. From a compounding knowledge point of view, for me, this is one of the biggest capability movers. You know, we talk about document management and knowledge management, and we've talked about that for decades. Well, now through these large language models, we're able to process large volumes of structured and unstructured data that exists within your organizations, and then provide that directly into your line of business, either in the front line or in your business applications through Power Virtual Agents, or directly through some of the Copilot interfaces that again, you'll see today. So for me, that's going to be one that transforms the way that we think about getting knowledge and sharing it to the people within the organization. Scaling innovation within that pillar, I think you'll get a real feel for this today. Not only does it provide an opportunity for people to automate more mundane administrative tasks and therefore focus their human capabilities on more innovative thinking, but with low code and even more powerful low code capability, where you can use natural language to build applications and automations, we're able to democratize innovation to anyone within the organization, assuming that you've got the governance and controls set up to enable them. And then improved decision making. I think we've all hopefully had a taste for using Bing or ChatGPT and asking it to give us recommendations on a restaurant to visit or accommodation to book for a location that we're going to. We're able to use these algorithms to process large volumes of data, both in the public domain and within your organization, and ask it to provide analysis back to you. So that could be adjusting your position on certain strategies, providing advice on risk mitigation. There's all of these opportunities for you to process large volumes of data that would maybe be very difficult for a human to do, and use that to try and make more improved decisions throughout your operations. So there's a whole world of possibilities, but hopefully that gives you a bit of a grounding on what's there and how you might be able to apply it within your organization. And again, we'll see some of these in demonstration with the chaps in just a second. So that's a closeout from me, and I'll be passing over to Jared to jump straight into some demonstration. But I think from my point of view, like I said, I've been truly blown away by the rate of innovation within the Microsoft ecosystem. As an inner circle partner, they first announced to us probably 9 months ago that this was the direction that they were heading with Azure OpenAI, and from then to May, when I went to the Inner Circle conference in the US, to now, the amount of capability that is in the platform and available for us all to use is truly remarkable. So I'm super excited about what the next 6 months are going to bring, and maybe even a little daunted about what's going to happen in 2 or 3 or 5 years' time. Jared, over to you.
Thanks, Jordan. All right, I'll just take control there. Great. So we're going to talk through a few different Copilots and capabilities that are within the Dynamics 365 application suite. As Jordan mentioned, there are well over 150 different capabilities. So we're just going to touch on a couple right up front here. And each of these capabilities, when we actually go through and show them in a demonstration, will only take a minute or two to show. But if you extrapolate the amount of time that some of this takes for your team, your users, saving a minute, saving a couple of minutes per interaction, per email sent, for example, can add up over the course of a day, can add up over the course of a week, a month, a year, across a whole organization, and can save a significant amount of time and money. So as Jordan mentioned, what Microsoft is trying to do here is provide an AI, a Copilot, someone to help your team, yourself, with some of the more mundane tasks and make things a little bit more quicker and efficient. So from a customer service standpoint, for those of you that are supporting customers, whether internal or external, there's always going to be email conversations going back and forth, potentially chat conversations through your website or through SMS or through other channels. We'll show a little bit of how generative AI with Copilot can help support that. As you're engaging your customer base and supporting them and managing cases, that case history and interaction history can potentially grow significantly. So we'll show a little bit about how AI and Copilot here is helping your team to stay up to speed, stay up to date, and save time trying to read emails and read notes and understand what's happened in the past by providing summaries of cases and conversations. We were going to show how Copilot can help you leverage organizational knowledge. It's actually very powerful to tie into your knowledge base within Dynamics, within SharePoint, or seek out knowledge on external sites such as your website or others. We had to do a little shift of environments this morning, so we don't have that ready to show, but that is available. So it helps your agents, your team, to find that knowledge much more efficiently using natural language. And then from a frontline worker and operations standpoint, Microsoft is improving that experience through assisted creation of work orders. We'll show what that looks like from within an Outlook experience, because more often than not, how you're receiving requests from your customers is probably through emails. And then once that work order is created, leveraging the scheduling and resource management capabilities within the field service implementation, Copilot will look across all that and work out the best bookings, the best resources to achieve that job. And then finally, we'll cover a bit around how that sort of summary that from a customer service standpoint for conversation and cases is also coming over into work orders to provide that context. So a couple of slides, and then we'll actually jump into a demonstration. So the first bit is around how generative AI is going to help you engage your customers. Oftentimes when responding to emails, you're going to have to draft that from scratch, or you're going to have to create templates for the most common scenarios and use those templates and plug the relevant data and content into those templates before you send that off. With Copilot, Microsoft is looking at your entire suite of information within your dynamic system. So it's looking at who that particular customer is. It's looking at what it is they're actually asking about. It's understanding the context of what they're asking about from an issue standpoint or an inquiry standpoint or related to a work order or a sales opportunity. And then it is taking your prompt on potentially what it is you want to do or respond with and writing up that email for you. So you might want to suggest a call. You might want to resolve the customer's issue or suggest product information based on what you have on your website or any other sort of prompt and write your own, and it will generate that for you. Again, as Jordan mentioned, this is not about AI taking over any sort of activities. It's assisting you as a user, as a human being in these tasks. So you'll be able to review that, you'll be able to adapt that, and you'll be able to send any sort of email from your own accord. So conversation summary. We can all imagine, how many times we've called into organizations and we've spoken to an IVR or a bot. We've spoken to one person, we've been transferred to another person. What Microsoft is doing as part of customer service and Dynamics 365 Omnichannel is providing summaries of those conversations, so that when a human being actually does pick up the phone or answer a live chat, they're able to actually get a quick summary versus having to read maybe 10, 20, 30, 40 different messages back and forth to understand what's actually happened here. And then from a case management standpoint, as cases are managed, as inquiries are managed, as issues are managed over the course of time, especially for high velocity, high volume service organizations, it can be cumbersome to go look at what has happened. What's the history of this particular case? What emails have been sent? What notes have been entered in? Phone calls that have been taken and made. All that information can actually be summarized right there for the agent to then focus on what actually matters in resolving that particular issue. All right, so from there, I'm going to share my screen, so just give me a second here. Great. So what we're looking at here is the customer service workspace within Dynamics 365. I'm an agent. I've got my work items over here on the left. There are a few that are assigned to me, a couple different cases, but we also have a couple different emails that I need to look at and respond to. So by selecting one of these emails, I can obviously read what's happened in this particular case. There's an issue with an HVAC control unit. It won't turn on. And it's actually affecting their ability to work within one of their labs. So they're asking for a quick fix. I can respond to this directly within Dynamics. And as you would expect, we can just type in whatever it is we would want to respond with. However, I'm going to actually use Copilot and help me resolve this customer's issue. So I can resolve the customer's problem, but I don't really know too much about what's going on. So I might want to suggest a call first. So simply by just clicking that button and providing that prompt of suggesting a call, again, the system's going to look at what's actually happening and suggest a response for this email. So, dear Abigail, thank you for reaching out. We understand HVAC control unit has an issue, yada, yada, yada. Are you available today or tomorrow for a 30-minute call? I don't have to type that as an agent. That might have taken me a minute, if I'm quick, to write up. I don't have to write that. So that's fantastic. That might be perfect. But if I want to maybe change this to a 15-minute call, I can just change that content right there, copy that in, and then the email is ready to send. So again, Microsoft is providing a lot of features essentially with this to engage customers and save time. And then based on whether this was helpful or not, I can provide feedback back into the AI engine so that we can support the right sort of content that's been generated for us. Okay. So I can send that off. I'll also show another example here where we've got an email from Abigail again around a work order. And this particular work order had a job or a visit scheduled by our team, but she's unable to actually attend due to a death in the family. So in this particular example, we don't want to suggest a call. There's no product or service or problem necessarily from that perspective. We want to use a different tone. And this is an example of how Microsoft is providing you with the ability to sort of tailor or change how you want some of this content generated. So by choosing the empathize with feedback prompt, we get something that is actually fairly, empathetic, right? I'm sorry to hear about your death, death in your family. Yes, we will cancel. So I can use this, I can tweak it. It's not about a complaint, so we do definitely want to make sure we read these and then copy that over and then send that off. Okay. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show from a customer service standpoint was a bit about that summary capability. So I've got a live chat here. It's been going on for about over an hour now with Abigail over on one of our portals. And as I mentioned before, the AI or the Copilot within Dynamics 365 is going to help assist us and catch up to speed on what's actually happened. So you can imagine a chat or even a telephone call where that transcription from that call, which Microsoft can generate in real time, is available here and could be quite lengthy. Could be 10, 20, 30, 40 different messages here. Instead of wasting the agent's time reading what's going on, and also providing that customer with probably a bit of a poor experience, having to ask what's happened and read that context again. All I need to do from an agent standpoint is click this Copilot tool here and summarize the conversation. So AI again, Copilot again, is going to read what's actually happened and help me understand how this conversation got here, what's actually happened. So in this particular case, customer's got an issue with an HVAC device, and our virtual agent, our bot, which was on the live chat website, was not able to find a resolution. So it transferred into it to myself as an agent. Once we actually wrap up this call, provide information that we need to, again, Copilot is prevalent. Copilot will help me. Copilot will allow me to take that summary of that conversation and actually go ahead and create a case directly from here and progress that case forward if we need to respond or anything like that. Great. I'm going to then share the deck again. Let's give it a sec. And we'll jump over to the field service items. Great. Okay, so from a field service standpoint, a couple things that we wanted to show quickly creating those work orders. So as I mentioned, many of us live and breathe our day within Outlook. And typically, if you get an email from one of your customers or one of your colleagues inside of your organization around a particular issue, device that's not working potentially. Sorry. Go back there. You're alt tabbing. You're looking at the email. You're going into potentially your Dynamics system. You're creating the work order. You might track the email inside of Dynamics against that work order. It's a little bit of a disjointed experience. And so where Microsoft is bringing efficiencies to bear for those types of users is through Copilot for field service embedded within your Outlook, meaning Copilot is actually going to look at the email. It's going to look at who sent the email. It's going to understand a bit of context around that particular person, that particular customer, the assets that they potentially have, and set up your work order for you. Next, we'll show how Copilot is enhancing some of the scheduling capabilities within field service that exist today. So today, there is the ability for your field service solution to provide suggested resources and suggested booking times. Copilot is enhancing that even further by refining the results to position or the resources that best fit that job based on the job requirements, based on the resource characteristics and their capabilities, based on the jobs that they have today, based on the jobs they have later on in the day, and the travel time that they might need to incur. And then directly within the work order or directly within Outlook, which we'll show in a second, the ability to quickly and efficiently book that and have Copilot set that booking up for you is available. It's just one click away. And then finally, one thing I'm particularly excited about for our customers that use field service is work order recap. So as a work order, especially one that may take days, weeks, months even to complete, and have multiple teams working on multiple different activities, the recap functionality will look across all the history of what's been done on that job, what products and inventory was potentially used, what services that are chargeable or not were provided, tasks and inspections and forms that were completed, and all the conversations that might have happened with the customer, might have happened internally to complete that particular job, and provide that summary. So there's benefits from an operational standpoint when one of your schedulers or operations managers needs to look at this and needs to understand, what do I need to do? What needs to happen next? There's also benefits from a technician or frontline worker standpoint when they get this work order to quickly understand, okay, what is this about? Where has this, where has this come from, essentially? So let's quickly shift back over into our system. And I'll switch over to here. So I'm actually just in Outlook. I've got a couple of emails that I'm looking at. One of those, which we just saw from the customer service side. Typically, as an operations manager or scheduler, I would have Dynamics open as well, and I'd be alt-tabbing back and forth between the two. But directly from this email, I can quickly, over on the top right, start our field service functions in context of this email. So this is going to look at this particular email, and it's actually suggesting, well, two suggestions for me. The second one here is to create a new work order, but it's already picked up that because of my demo prep earlier, I created a work order based on this. Benefits of this would be if one of your colleagues or someone else in the organization got this email, they would also see the same thing. So they'd be able to quickly view the work order that was created off the back of this email. Alternatively, if a work order, if this needed to be associated to another work order, we can actually shift over into this and look at all the work orders that have been set up and reassociated to that work order. So I'll just view work order 10 here. And what Copilot's done is it has already set up some of the parameters for me. So initially it's unscheduled. I personally specified that this was low priority based on my view of the issue. It's associated to Contosa organization because that's who our customer belongs to, and then helps me determine what type of work order and investigation is required, and then pre-populated the sort of summary based on the body of the email. Now, if there were additional emails as part of this, Copilot would again use all that summary and recap functionality that I've talked about previously, and populate the summary based on that. Okay. So I could make changes directly from Outlook here, save, happy days, done. If I am part of the scheduling function, I might want to also schedule this work order directly from Outlook. So again, not having to shift between two different applications here. And Copilot is suggesting one of our resources who's potentially in the area. He's free at 8 a.m., but we want to get him on site at 8 a.m. So given it's a 16-minute drive, it's doing the calculations that his day is going to start at 7:44 here. And all I need to do is click Book Resource. And of course, any presentation, there's going to be an error of some sort. That always happens, so apologies. But that would book. And as you can see, that some of the stuff is in preview. It's coming up very, very soon. That would book the resource against the work order. One click away, I can open up Dynamics and actually get to the full view of that work order. Give that a second to load. While that's doing that, I'll pop something else in. Cool. So again, this is the work order that we were looking at previously. Unscheduled, low priority. We've got the booking suggestions should work just fine here. So it is going to create that booking for that resource. And you'll also see right here above that, the Copilot preview pane. So by clicking generate, it is going to generate that recap for us and provide that the information around what's actually happened, right? So we've actually just booked that resource. It's picked up just in real time. I don't know why there's an error there, but it has picked up that technician is scheduled to arrive 8 a.m. In 2 days. And it's given us a little bit of a history of what's actually happened here. Okay. So again, very, very helpful from an operations standpoint. And then I'll quickly shift over to my mobile device. We've got this, this work order here. Same work order that we were looking at. So from a technician standpoint, I would typically have to go through all the products and services and tabs at the top and the timeline to figure out what's going on. But I can just use that recap, click generate, and it's going to, again, give me that summary, saving me as a technician significant amount of time, reviewing what's actually need to happen. All right, I'm going to share the deck one more time. Wrapping this up, again, there's a lot of different capability within the solution. We've only shown just a few bits, but setting this up is actually very, very simple. Everything you've seen is just a few clicks away. So go as an admin, you can set up your Copilot, determine which of the different scenarios that you want to enable, and allow for your users to access. Tick those off, tie it into your knowledge base, tie it into your websites, and then deploy that through one click out to those users and your organization. What's coming and what we haven't shown you is the ability to extend this. So there are many different sort of scenarios that allow us to provide Copilot experiences based on your requirements and your processes. At this point, I'll hand it off to my colleague Matt, who will cover a bit about how that will work.
Thanks, Jared. Look, I think just to sort of talk about the transition into what we're going to look at now, Jared's showing us some fantastic AI-enabled situations where you're using a Dynamics 365 product from Microsoft. And because they understand how you use the product, they understand the data that's going into their product, they've been able to produce these AI solutions. Now, what if you were to build your own solutions from the ground up in the Power Platform? What if you were to build a inspection solution or travel requisition or expense management, whatever it might be? Frontline workers, you could be in utilities and wanting to inspect particular types of assets. How do we build apps to be able to do those very specific workloads that are unique to us? And then how do we infuse that with AI? Well, we're actually going to start a very big step back. What if we were to build those solutions using AI? What if we were to use English as our way of being able to build these apps instead of having to find IT folks or teach people and lead them to the cliff of having to learn a lot about how Power Platform solutions are developed? So I want to flick through a couple of slides and then I want to show you this in action. So how can we use Copilot to build a Power App? Well, at the moment, there's a couple of different ways. We can draw a Power App on a piece of paper, take a photo of it, and we can have it produce those screens. We can use a prompt, like here's a suggestion that I've got here that I want to be able to build a Power App that allows me to inspect HVAC units. Or I could provide it a spreadsheet, maybe a spreadsheet that we're already using in the field, or maybe that's already been typed into from pieces of paper that come from the field. I want to be able to show that to Copilot, and I want it to have a good think about what it might look like, what sort of data we might want to collect, and how it needs to scaffold the app. And it's not going to build 100% of what we want. It's going to build 40, 60, 80%. It's going to get rid of that boilerplate. It's actually going to accelerate. So instead of spending a week or 2 weeks building a solution, we could definitely do it in a few hours or a few days. So that's how we can use it to build. We can also embed Copilot into our Power Apps. And we could do, and for those that are familiar with Power Apps, there's 2 different types of Power Apps. We can infuse it into a Canvas app. And an example here of that, where we're able to connect our little Copilot window to our data source. We're able to enrich it with web content, and we're able to even build custom behaviors into that Copilot. So for example, if I'm going to type in, show me a list of assets that haven't been inspected in 6 months, it's going to produce that list. And then I can instruct it, can you please create a work order for each of those assets for me to go and do an inspection? And that's where we can delegate to the bot framework, the Power Virtual Agent product, and create a series of custom actions, which allow us to then perhaps generate a work order. So we're using English to interact with our data instead of point and click and having to build user interfaces to do that. And this is actually relatively simple to drop in. I will be showing a demo of how this can actually be done in the model-driven app environment. We can also use Copilot to build Power Automate cloud flows and RPA desktop flows. So cloud flows allow us to connect to multiple data sources within our ecosystem. It allows us to trigger these automations based on behaviors or data that we might see, events that might occur, and then visually build out the actions that we want to occur as a result of that. Now, for those that are familiar with Power Automate today, it's very much you've got to drop all these things onto the canvas, stitch it together. Maybe you've got to sort of sit down and think about the right way to do it. But with Copilot, we can feed it a little bit of English and say, this is what I want. And it's going to be able to scaffold that nicely for us. And again, we'll show what that looks like in just a moment. But they're only just a few of the Copilots. There's 155 different capabilities within Copilot at the moment. And I think there's about 20 more dropping over the next 2 weeks. So we can use Copilot to build topics of conversation in our bot technology here, Power Virtual Agent. We can use Copilot to build pages and update theming in our Power Pages web applications. If you're a pro coder and you want to generate a snippet of JavaScript, or if you want to generate a very custom page template, you can do that as well using the Copilot and Power Pages. Or even if you are trying to work with the administration and governance elements of the Power Platform, there's a Copilot coming for that too, where you can say, I want to see the apps that are not complying with our DLP policies, or show me the apps that are being used by more than 50 people in our organization, and maybe we want to wrap those with just a little bit more governance than what we currently have. So I'm going to flick over now to the demo, which is what we all want to see. So you can get here too. Just going to zoom in just a click as well. You can get here yourself. You go make.powerapps.com in your web browser, and that's where you build Power Apps within your Microsoft ecosystem. And what we can do is we can start with a prompt. I want to perform inspections on assets. I need to collect an asset number, when the inspection occurred, and I want to drop down to appear so I can collect its overall condition, how it sounds. Maybe it's a HVAC unit. If it sounds noisy, maybe there's something wrong. And a drop down as to how it looks, its appearance. Is it dented? Is it scratched? Is it rusted? And I'm just going to hit send on that. And I'm going to see what Copilot can do. So Copilot is using GPT to be able to understand what did I ask for. And it's going to then parse that into a list of actions that it might take to build an app. So it's going to suggest a data model. It's going to suggest the types of fields that we want. In fact, it's also going to start to suggest maybe some example data so that when we build an app based on this, we've actually got some examples in there. And I think this has done a pretty good job. It's identified the sorts of fields that I want. It's even sort of suggested a notes field. And I think that's great. I'm also going to ask it, can you also add a drop down for how the asset feels. And it's going to think about that. It's going to start to think, well, what sort of drop-down items do I actually need in there? and it's going to add that into this data model here. And once it's done that, and once I'm happy with starting from this data, and if I was to click on the Create App button down the bottom right-hand side, that's going to produce a dataverse data model. That's going to produce, there you go, there's the column there, and it's going to produce an app. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to click on Create App, and I'm just going to leave that because I want to show you something else whilst that's cooking up in the background. So the other thing I'm going to do is say I've got a spreadsheet, and I'm going to say I want to start with some data. And now I'm going to say I want to upload an Excel file. And here is one I have prepared earlier. It's an inspection checklist. And it's going to sit there and it's going to have a look at that spreadsheet. Now, it does take a moment, and in the interest of time, this is what it found in my spreadsheet. It found the date this inspection was submitted, who did it, it's generating an inspection number. It might be linked to a job number or a work order number, but here it is, the information that's been entered in. There's some drop downs here, it's identified. There's some Booleans, yes, no's, it's identified, and overall a safety score as a result of the inspection. And again, I can click on Create App, and it's going to start to build an app. And that app's going to look very much like this, right? It's going to build. I'm just going to click play on this. It's going to identify that I can view my previous inspections, and I can view those over here on the right. Or I can create a brand new inspection, generate a number for it. It might be linked to a particular work order I'm looking at. I think that this is something that is actually quite risky, so I'm going to give that an 8. And it's identified some options here. Now, is this a finished app? No, but it's gotten me 60 to 70% the way there. And I can actually start to go through and I can actually start to add some more information to this as well. And if I wanted to make some more changes to this, I can actually just ask the Copilot. So I want to add an email screen to this so that I can email my manager to let them know, hey, look, I've been performing an inspection, something really bad has been noticed or something needs to be brought to your attention immediately. I want to do that. And just by saying I want to add an email screen, it understands what that means. It understands what it might need to build and scaffold for that. And you can see here, who does it need to go to, what subject, what's the message, and then we can click on this button here to send. And for those that have built Power Apps before, you can see here, it's actually on, when I click that button, it's going to run this code. It's generated the code. It's figured that out. In fact, for those that are developers in the room, it's even added comments. You can't even get a human developer to do that sometimes. So that's how we build a Power App. And let's just go back over here to the one we were cooking up. Here's our other inspection one here that we're talking about that we did from that prompt. And again, is it the completed app? No, but it got us 60 to 70% the way there, and that accelerates. That makes us very effective at building apps. I want to show you Copilot. So let me just hit refresh here and bring up a brand new. This is a model-driven app, and I'm pretending that I'm an asset rental business or a vehicle rental business. And you can see here a list of just some random vehicles, and some are available and some are rented. And I can ask the Copilot, what vehicles are best for large families? And it's able to look at this data that I have here. It's able to understand with some of the descriptions that I've given it as well, some of the information about, it's saying, well, there's no vehicles that are best for large families. What vehicles are best for business travel? Maybe it might give me some sort of executive vehicle, maybe a sedan or something like that. And it's able to look at this data set and it's able to give me a result. And here's a couple here. And I'm able to say, that's awesome. Show me these 12 on a page. And it's able to give me that list. And here's some nicer vehicles that it's given me for maybe a business traveler. What if I was to say, what electric vehicles are available? Now you notice here I've got this, oops, let me spell correctly while everyone's watching. You notice I've got this status column here. If it's rented, it updates its status. So I just want to see what electric vehicles are available. Let me try that one again. Let me just reset the filter that we've got on this actually. What vehicles that are electric are currently available? And this should hopefully give me a list of, I think there's a couple of Teslas in here. And it's only seen this data for about 12 to 24 hours, actually. So it's not liking that one today, but that's okay. Let's show how I can create a Power Automate flow now as well. So it's quite easy. If I go into our standard make.powerautomate.com, which everyone's got access to in their Microsoft tenant, I'm going to say I want to describe it to design it. I've actually written this prompt here, going back to our previous example. Remember that little risk number? So I want to send a Teams message to the owner's manager, so the person filling out the survey. I want to send a message to their manager if the risk level for the work they're about to do is greater than a 7 out of 10. I'm going to hit go, and let's just see what it gives me. So there we go. It said, well, look, if someone creates a brand new record and there's a condition there, and I'm assuming that if it's greater than 7, it's going to get the manager, it's going to send them a Teams message. So let me just click next and create that flow. Oh, there you go. Look, it's already created it. So it said when a row is updated, so that's going to be, sorry, when a new record is added, and I'm going to get my manager and I'm going to post a message to them on Teams. You can see here where it started to scaffold out that logic. I might say, if the risk level is 10, I want to also notify my manager's manager on Teams. So if it's super high risk, let's see what it suggests if I do that. And it's probably going to change the logic. Yep, let's see what it does. It's going to add another condition. Yep, so under the circumstance where it's a 10, it's going to grab the manager's manager. It's going to post that to Teams. Or if someone's handed me this Power Automate flow and gone, here, work with this. I need you to extend it. I need you to do something to it. I need you to add some new logic. And I'm looking at this going, oh, goodness me, what does this do? What does this flow do? And it says it looks to see if that risk level is greater than 7. If it is, it gets the manager of the user and it posts a message in a chat or channel on Teams. So it's able to then walk me through and describe to me this logic as well. So that's a very quick whistle-stop tour with some of the Copilot capabilities that are available to us to not only build Power Apps, Power Automate flows, and various other parts of the Power Platform ecosystem, but also embed those into our solution as well. Just bring up the slides. Sorry, I might need to get my colleague to do that.
No problem.
I'll do that.
Oh yeah, go on, Jared.
Back to your slides.
Yeah, look, I think there's just to sort of round out now. Look, we can see obviously the way in which Copilot is available to everyone. It's part of the build stack for anyone who's a citizen developer or a professional developer. But yeah, let's move on to rounding out.
Fantastic. So we do get a number of questions from our customers, dozens and dozens, but some of the common ones are, what do I have to pay for this? What are the licensing requirements? That does really depend on the Copilot. So, for example, for customer service, you do need a customer service enterprise license. Some of the Power Apps Copilot features would be available as part of your Power Apps licenses and subscriptions, field service as well. So It all depends. So come speak to us if you are looking to leverage some Copilot capability out of your solutions. Languages, English, other languages are coming. So it depends on where your solution and your teams are focused. And then from a geo standpoint, Microsoft is rolling this out across the world. It's deployed in North America, Switzerland, I think a few others now. Australia is getting very, very close. Don't have an exact date, but we are looking at very soon here. And then what does it look like from a deployment standpoint of Copilot? Can I just deploy some of this to some of my users, or does it have to go out to everyone? We can segment, we can target deployment of Copilot and sort of A/B test, how it's working, and then deploy it out to broader user bases and teams as you need. The other element other question that we get asked is, what about data? What about security? So, as you've seen, Copilot is working off of your data. However, all the prompts, the outputs, all the data it's processing, not available to other customers, not available to other organizations, and the other technology that Microsoft has built this on, such as OpenAI and ChatGPT, which are separate organizations. And Microsoft is anonymizing a lot of this as part of their telemetry. So again, Microsoft is taking a very data security centric focus to all of this capability. And we're happy to dive deeper and further into how that actually works. Oh, sorry, I forgot to take control, Matt. That was this slide that I was speaking to just now. Okay. And then finally, hand it off to Drew.
Yeah, cheers, Jared. So look, thanks everybody. Obviously we've run out of time, and this was just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the features and capabilities that are out there. So feel free to get in touch. Feel free to continue to ping any one of us with regards to anything we've shown you today or talked about. Look, if you're an existing Dynamics customer and you want to understand the logistics of getting early access to one of these preview solutions, maybe spinning something up in one of the geos in which it's available currently, just fire a message through to your Microsoft or Velrada rep, or contact Jared, Matt, or myself, and we'd be happy to help. And that also extends to, can we run a workshop? Can we understand a bit more about how we might use this based on the build of Dynamics that we've got? So yes, certainly ping us. If you've got Power Platform or you're keen to start leveraging Power Platform to solve enterprise use cases, again, very keen to run some workshops with you and provide some education around the Copilot features that are there and the unbelievable set of capabilities that are now available within the platform. And then lastly, if you don't have either of those, but Copilot sounds too good to be true and you want to test it out on either of them, feel free to reach out to us. We're here and keen to help. All right, we're at time. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.